causes and effects that govern a situation is the best preparation. Father continues to guide me. What happens if someone is not prepared? If he is blind to the stream of opportunities that reality is presenting to him? Do you agree with what Seneca said 2,000? You have a nice oxymoron, humble, potential advantage. But what is that approach? On the one hand, one has to be humble to assume that one doesn't know. Actually, to avoid feeling disappointed, one has to expect that things will most probably not work the first time. On the other hand, one must be arrogant, have the confidence that one is capable of figuring out how to make things work. Put these two requirements together, and you have a nice oxymoron, humble arrogance. Looking at Father, I say, this is the first time that I've become aware of how helpful the scientist's approach can be in maintaining the stamina needed to go after new initiatives. It is also helpful in generating the initiatives to start with, he comments. Probably, I say. Father doesn't like such a non-committal response. Do you agree with what Seneca said 2,000 years ago, that good luck is preparation meets opportunity? He asks. I slowly say, and knowing the causes and effects that govern a situation is the best preparation. Father continues to guide me. What happens if someone is not prepared? If he is blind to the stream of opportunities that reality is presenting to him? It's not too difficult to predict the outcome. If someone isn't prepared, then he won't see most of the opportunities. Such a person will be waiting for good luck to provide everything on a silver platter. Taking it further, I continue, and if a person doesn't have enough opportunities, he will feel that life didn't give him a fair chance, that he is constrained by circumstances, that he is powerless. How many of my friends have I just described? Isn't this line of thought too simplistic? I have to think more about it. Bad luck happens when reality meets lack of preparation, he concludes. Approaching reality like a scientist, if done well, also provides the needed preparation. Then he adds, if someone is not prepared, what freedom of choice does he have? Now I start to realize that it isn't just the freedom to choose the bright side. Freedom of choice is also connected to the ability to recognize situations that can be turned into real opportunities. Father interrupts cities with a big sigh. Unfortunately, in spite of all my effort, also provides the needed preparation. Then he adds, if someone is not prepared, what freedom of choice does he have? Now I start to realize that it isn't just the freedom to choose the bright side. freedom of choice is also connected to the ability to recognize situations that can be turned into real opportunities. Father interrupts my thoughts with a big sigh. Unfortunately, in spite of all my efforts, too often I find myself unprepared. I smile. I wish I could be as unprepared as he is. To make sure I understand, I try to put things in order. The fact that you are constantly building logical maps of reality helps you in two ways. First of all, and now I am starting to realize how crucial this is, you are able to recognize opportunities in the areas that are important to you. And secondly, when they initially don't work, you don't lose energy. On the contrary, the missing element is sticking out, and you enthusiastically charge to complete it and turn the opportunity into a success. I've seen you do it again and again. After a short Constantly building logical maps of reality helps you in two ways. First of all, and now I am starting to realize how crucial this is, you are able to recognize opportunities in the areas that are important to you. And secondly, when they initially don't work, you don't lose energy. On the contrary, the missing element is sticking out, and you enthusiastically charge to complete it and turn the opportunity into a success. I've seen you do it again and again. After a short while, I add, I envy you. I wish that I had inherited your genius. Here we go again, he sighs. Every person is born with tremendous brain power. Unfortunately, there are obstacles that stand in the way of using that brain power. The deeper meaning of freedom of choice is the choice to invest in overcoming these obstacles. Seeing that I don't have a problem with this, he continues. Can you speculate on what these obstacles are? As a psychologist, my list of potential obstacles is endless. There are numerous psychological barriers. Rather than listing them, I ask, can you give me a clue? The more complicated the situation seems to be, the simpler the solution must be, he recites. It's one of his favorite phrases. Now, I'm stuck. I'm used to approaching it from the inner workings of a person, from his emotions, from his inhibitions. Father wants me to approach it from the outside, from the reality that the person struggles with. Rather than give an off-the-cuff answer, I ask, "What are the obstacles?" He takes his time lighting his pipe. When he is pleased with the resulting gray cloud, he responds, "The first and most profound obstacle is that people believe that reality is complex, and therefore they are looking for sophisticated explanations for complicated solutions. Do you understand how devastating this is? I have a hunch, but I'd rather have you explain." "I'm looking for a good analogy," he says, while his eyes search the ceiling. "Suppose that you have an excellent screwdriver, and you need to take out a screw from a piece of wood. You have the right tool for the task, but for some reason you think that it's not a screw, but a nail. How successful will you be? In such a case, to claim that you don't have a good enough tool is ridiculous. There is nothing wrong with people's brain power. There is something very wrong with people's perception of reality. The biggest obstacle is that people grasp reality as complex, when actually it is surprisingly simple." When he sees that I get it, he continues, "When I left physics and started to deal with organizations, I was astonished to see that the attitude of most people is that the more sophisticated something is, the more respectable it is. This ridiculous fascination with sophistication also causes people to altogether avoid using their brain power. You see, since complicated solutions never work, people tell themselves that they don't know enough, that a lot of detailed knowledge is needed before one can even attempt to understand an environment." "I know such a few sad cases," I concur. "The admiration of sophistication is totally wrong," he firmly continues. "The key for thinking like a true scientist is the acceptance that any real-life situation, no matter how complex it initially looks, once understood, is actually embarrassingly simple. Moreover, if the situation is based on human interactions, you probably already have enough knowledge to begin with." "I'm not sure that I agree with your latter statement," I say. "And I think that most people, taking their personal life as a reference, will not agree even with your former one." "How can I convince you?" he asks. Since I have never fully accepted Father's claim that complex reality is actually simple, I decide to use this opportunity to get to the bottom of it, once and for all. "Give me an example, a decisive one," I insist. "Fine," he says. "Pick something that you struggle with." No, this is too easy. I, too, am able to find elegant solutions to personal problems. Sometimes. Sometimes. Picking something that I struggle with will not be a meaningful with convincing you. He smiles. You still want the example to be based on people's problematic situations. Maybe we can agree on the following approach. You must group, but also with a diverse group that has to achieve something together. In other words, an organization. I generate opportunities. So it will not be enough that you just take a specific organization and decipher the cause and effect relationships that govern its activities. You also have to show me that through the simple logical map you have built, new opportunities are opened. The bigger, the better. Before he can comment, I remind him of the real challenge. You also claimed that if the situation is based on human interactions, I already have enough knowledge to decipher how and why it works. It's governing causalities. Every organization is based on human interaction, so for me to check to see if your claim is correct, you need to choose a type of organization that I've never worked with. He doesn't seem to be disturbed. Have you ever... Sigh. Reality, like a scientist, if done well, also provides the needed preparation. Then he adds, if someone is not prepared, what freedom of choice does he have? Now I start to realize that it isn't just the freedom to choose the bright side. Freedom of choice is also connected to the ability to recognize situations that can be turned into real opportunities. Father interrupts my thoughts with a big sigh. Unfortunately, in spite of all my efforts, too often